runs there. Wish we'd had an opportunity to make another run. But we weren't really sure on the weather. We were really just pushing for race trim stuff, thinking that the rain was going to come hit us and stay and not even get a chance to qualify. So I don't know what the track's going to do right now. It definitely got cleaned off. Whether there's enough rubber on there to make the car behave properly, it's hard to tell. I'm taking a look at the track now. It's still got a few wet spots on it. But I think it's all going to depend on, there's a lot of guys on scuff tires, a lot of guys on stickers, and, it's really going to be hard to tell what's going to marry up well with the track surface right now. So it's all about the right combination. Hopefully we got one.
Educated guess. Yeah, I hope so too. Hey, a week from now, as we go into the All-Star race, and we're going to be at Charlotte for 2 weeks, you guys are, kind of did very well, I should say, in the Pit Crew Championship. That was before you were with this team. Look ahead to that for us.
Well, I mean, we are looking forward to that. The guys are really pumped up, ready to go back and prove to them again that they're capable of winning that competition again. But we're really looking forward to the Charlotte weeks. We think we've got a good product going into that race. We've been good at the big tracks, the Californias and Atlantas and Vegas, and we're running well here. So we think we have a good product for Brian to drive the whole Charlotte week. So, and it's always fun to be back in town.
Yeah. Sleep in your own bed.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Steve?
Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
I know some crew chiefs don't always tell you the truth. Does your brother tell you the truth when you ask him questions?
Yeah, he does. He will tell you the truth, I think, more often than not. But if you ask him if they're running well, he'll always downplay and say, well, we're not very good.
Exactly.
So, that's the athlete coming out of it. That is. Get too optimistic.
That's true. All right, thanks a lot, Randy. And, of course, their older brother, Robin, vice president for NASCAR, and Roman spots for the team Red Bull, the youngest Pemberton brothers. So that was fun to see two brothers talking to each other here at Darlington. Don't forget, Randy was talking about the Sprint Pit Crew Challenge from the Time Warner Cable Arena in Uptown Charlotte. Thursday night, tickets start at $15.
I love my sponsor, Aaron's. After a tough day at the track, David and I race into an Aaron's store and just relax. You comfy, Rudy? He's had a long day.
Race into Aaron's for the guaranteed low price on name brand furniture, electronics, appliances, and computers. Flexible lease to own plans, and you don't need credit. Nobody beats Aaron's.
This for sale?
You thinking about buying or leasing?
For NASCAR drivers, blocking is a way to stay ahead, lap after lap. For me, blocking is how I stay ahead of heartburn, all day and all night. Prilosec OTC blocks heartburn before it begins, so I can enjoy the tailgating foods I love on race day. Try Prilosec OTC, the round-the-clock heartburn blocker.
What project you working on today?
This.
We can help you with that.
Thanks. I'm just starting out, so I'm kind of on a budget.
We're good with budgets. You'll need one of these, at least. Pit crew,
Okay.
crew chief.
Cool.
Read this. And you'll need an owner. I recommend this one.
What about fans?
What do you say we start with 300,000 and go from there?
Whoa.
Helping people do more than they ever thought possible. That's the power of the Home Depot.
Cue the lights and turn up the volume, because it all comes down to this as the biggest stars in NASCAR gather to turn Lowe's Motor Speedway into an unforgettable 1.5 mile long asphalt stage. To celebrate the 25th running of the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race in Charlotte. Lights, camera, racing.
Glad you're back with us here at the Darlington Raceway. We'll stay with you up until qualifying time for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and the Southern 500 presented by GoDaddy.com. We are through 10 races in this 2009 season, and let's take a look at the point standings. Jeff Gordon back in a familiar spot. He is a four-time champion of this series. He's followed by Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart off to an amazing start, driving for his own race team. Then it's Denny Hamlin, his teammate Kyle Busch. See Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Burton, Clinton Boyer, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman also driving for Tony Stewart. Then it's teammates Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth. Let's take a look at who was fastest in the final practice here. Happy hour practice at the Darlington Raceway. Mark Martin. He's a former winner here at Darlington. He was 5th fastest in his Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. By the way, Mark announcing this week he will drive the full season next year for Hendrick. Denny Hamlin, 4th fastest in his Joe Gibbs Toyota, 177.37 miles per hour. Jimmy Johnson won both races here back in 2004. Johnson 3rd fastest in his Lowe's Chevy, also for Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Burton, a 2-time winner here, Caterpillar Chevy RCR, Richard Childress Racing. Burton 2nd quick in final practice. And the fastest, not a surprise, because Jeff Gordon has a phenomenal record here at Darlington at 28 starts. He has 7 wins. He's led over 1,600 laps here on this tough old racetrack. As you take a look at the top 10, you saw the top 5. How about Roush Fenway teammates Kenseth and Brian Vickers, also very good in both practices. In fact, Kyle Busch, the defending winner here at Darlington. Sam Hornish Jr. has finished in the top 10 in 2 of his last 3 races, coming off a 6th place finish at Richmond. Let's go back inside now. Randy Pemberton and Bob Dillon are both working hard. We start with Bob.
Well, Steve, we've been talking about how difficult of a day it has been for Scott Speed, the rookie in the Sprint Cup Series. This is how difficult it's been, or at least part of how difficult it's been. You see the old Darlington stripe on the side there. That actually is the backup car that they brought here, and that's because they wrecked their primary car pretty early in practice. Take a look at this piece right there. That was the primary here. Scott backed it into the wall, so they had to whip out the backup car. Now, the backup car that they will actually run here tomorrow night, or at least hope to run, is actually the backup car for this 600 weekend. So they're kind of skimping on cars a little bit. They brought that car here today, and that's the car that Scott will qualify with. Now, what if Scott actually has an incident in qualifying? Well, the team right away, after they actually wrecked that first car, they thought about that. They called back to the shop, and within about 2.5 hours, they had that car right here at Darlington Raceway. That's the 3rd 82 we've seen here this weekend. They hope it stays put here in the garage area, but this car is actually the car that Scott will attempt to run in the All-Star weekend. So Scott Speed and the team thinking ahead, but it's been a very difficult weekend for the Red Bull Racing team here, at least on the 82 front. Randy Pemberton?
Well, there's no question about it, Bob. This racetrack will humble you for sure. And one of the other teams, I have Ty Norris here, Vice President and General Manager for Michael Waltrip Racing. You guys have kind of taken it on the chin just a little bit today. You unloaded great with Marcos Ambrose, and then he got into the wall. Also, David Rudiman, who's been running so well, he turned one around. Tell me about the whole scenario with you guys.
Well, when we unloaded, David Rudiman was very, very fast. He was about 3rd or 4th quickest, and we thought we were going to have a great day. And he went out to just scuff his tires, which is unusual for Darlington, but we scuffed the tires and lost it. It got loose off turn 2 and had to go to a backup. Struggled a little bit with some of the electronics before we ended up getting a full speed laps on that car. But he just didn't want to take any chances in that second practice. But he said his car is just as good. In the 47, he ran like it was 27.75, 6th or 7th quickest, and he said, "Give me one more shot at it." And he took one more shot at it, and turn 4 got him a little bit. Not bad though, not a lot of suspension damage, just a little bit of cosmetic. And fortunately, we had Mike Clark and Mike O'Malley and some of the guys from the Fab Shop day, and they fixed him right up.
Ty, it's been well documented how well you guys have progressed over the past year, and you must be very, very pleased to see a young guy like Marcos Ambrose come along, do what he's done, for David Rudiman to be able to step up and become the franchise, so to speak. You must be very proud.
Oh, we are. You know what, Michael put his whole life into this, and I mean, he had so much passion for it. And we bit off more than any human's supposed to chew, and it showed up in 07. And Rob Kaufman came along, gave us this opportunity to have the life to be able to make it to our 3rd year, to show what we were made of. And you know, we went through 07 wondering if we made all the right decisions and did the right thing, and this is just really proof that we've made a lot of right and good decisions. Kyle Wells has come on, really helped us with our executive team, and now every week we come here, we're going to be running the top 5 or top 10, and just, you know, Rob Kaufman and Michael and what Toyo have done for us has just been amazing. And then you watch Marcos Ambrose. I mean, here's a guy that, you know, he was in the mid-pack there some days with the nationwide team, came into the Cup car, and he's just been phenomenal. And he's just been great to tag Schechter, and those guys let him come and be in our shop.
Steve, really good to see a lot of hard work pay off from Michael Waltrip Racing. This guy as well, done a great job over there.
Hey, Randy, we've talked a lot about some bent-up race cars here in terms of sheet metal, that is, but I think we need to make the point, even with the cars that have a Darlington stripe, the way this COT is built, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And Jeff Burton even said at Richmond last week, Randy, hey, I ran better after I hit the wall. These are toughly built race cars.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Steve. We've been talking about that since really we unloaded the COT a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And it really sticks out here at Darlington because they do tend to get in the wall. And you're right, they can glance off that wall. It really doesn't do significant damage. And they're going to do it all day long here on Saturday, let alone the Nationwide Series race tonight. But they'll do it all day long. And 500 miles here, the winner will probably have a big Darlington stripe. But this is a tough car. The crew chiefs, the teams, the engineers are getting a handle on it. Yes, they get a little bit tight and they want to push a little bit, but I think it's providing some great racing, and certainly it's a sturdy car, and it's gonna be in the wall a lot here at Darlington, buddy.
That's a fact, Randy. And by the way, we should mention, Bob Dilder mentioned the team Red Bull team had a backup here. We're only about 120 miles from where many of these teams are headquartered north of Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll keep you updated on qualifying. Stay with us here at Darlington.
When the work week ends, the NASCAR action heats up in Darlington with the ultimate Friday night house party.
I don't know what he's up to, but hold on to your hat.
Don't miss NASCAR Trackside tonight, 11 Eastern. NASCAR on speed. Be there.
Oh, I love this. I wonder how you can get a job in a pit crew. Oh, do that sound.
Just get a room.
Where do NASCAR fans get answers? Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR.
At PapaJohns.com, it's easier than ever to get the great taste of Papa John's delivered right to your door. Plus, get great online specials. Get a large pizza with up to 3 toppings for just $10.99. Available only at PapaJohns.com.
Stop your...
Do aches, pains, and arthritis have you in their grip? Break the grip with Aspercream Heat Gel. Extra strength medicine delivers penetrating heat relief without embarrassing odor. Fast pain relief that keeps you going for hours. Aspercream, break the grip of pain.
I just don't feel young when my skin looks old.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring Lotion. Moisturizers, vitamins, and restoring CoQ10 help skin renew itself.
Now my skin's fabulous. Can your lotion do that?
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring.
This stuff really works.
Are you and your gray hair facing an identity crisis?
My hair says experience. My hair says energy.
Touch of Gray. The best of both combs away a little gray, never too much, just right.
Now I look like I know what I'm doing and can still do it.
Touch of Gray.
I don't feel my age, and I don't want my skin to show it. Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring Lotion. Moisturizers, vitamins, and restoring CoQ10 help skin renew itself.
Here's the skin I remember.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring.
This stuff really works.
Clear skies remain here at the Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina, and we're going to stay with you up until the point where NASCAR cuts these drivers loose for Sprint Cup Series qualifying for the Southern 500, presented by GoDaddy.com. Well, on trackside, Larry McReynolds made mention of the fact that Kyle Busch has already won 50, that's 50 races, in all 3 of NASCAR's top 3 series. One of those 1 year ago here at the Darlington Raceway. Let's take a look back.
They've repainted in the overnight hours beautiful pristine white. It will never last. Just about every one of these cars will have a Darlington stripe.
Toughest people gonna survive, so you gotta stay strong, okay?
We're gonna have some fun tonight here at Darlington. Here they come, down to the line. Green is in the air.
You're only a couple tenths off there. You'd run a 2850s, I think is what you were running there.
Grandstands come to their feet as Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes the race. Come in trouble. Ollie and Stadler. Tony Stewart tangling turn number 2. Digger, mother. Stay low. Come on to the bottom. All clear. Good job.
Oh yeah, these cars are great. Wonderful. Love them. Love them to death.
Kyle Busch, one of those drivers that will get on top of the wheel, but Greg Biffle will do the same thing.
Get tighter, Erwin. Tighter. Gotcha. Turn 2. Greg Biffle gets tagged and he saves it. He got bumped from behind by Kyle Busch.
I don't know what happened to the brakes, but these things feel like super speedway brakes. I can't stop at all.
Be smooth here, but no pressure. I think the 18's having some brake problems. Just be patient. Man, go get those two. Get by those guys and you'll be a lot faster. Like I say, these guys must suck ahead of us. This is the tightest I've been all night. Really hurt rear grip, Scott. It really hurts the rear grip, and the turns work. I said for keep plugging away. It wasn't much of a change, but we'll go back on it and do something better.
Can't believe that Kyle Busch has put that car in the wall. Oh, man, he has really been slinging it in there.
Got to turn better, but I got to have the track bar down. I'm losing too much rear side by late exit.
Settle in, man. Find that rhythm again.
Feels like it's coming loose, Owen.
Guys, you're going to have to learn when it comes loose. You got to stay on it for a long time. That's as far as we want to finish. We need to finish. Don't need to worry about him. Be patient.
Tight. I work home race to get the lead, and I get it taken away every time.
Your position is to drive. Just stay calm.
You'll be in the news this week for winning at Darlington Raceway. Kyle Busch gets the victory.
I can't tell you how proud of you guys I am. I appreciate all the hard work, everything you guys do. Awesome job, dude.
Just 43 drivers have been to victory lane here at Darlington in 105 events. One of those drivers standing by with Randy Pemberton.
That would be Sterling Marlin. His history goes back pretty deep, won 2 times here at this racetrack. What about you, your first recollection is coming here as a fan, Sterling? When would that be?
I guess it was either 69 or 70. I come over and I rode with Mom and some guys going to help on the pit crew and played football on the bleachers down here in turns 3 and 4, which used to be 3 and 4 about the whole day. But, we used to have the old garage here off turn 4, and I loved pitting over there and watching them come off turn 4, and that's when had old bispy tires and smoke rolling off the right side tires, and it's a lot of action corner. But I just love this place. It's like I said, one of the first drove here the first time and loved it ever since. I like it.
Do you remember your dad's races as much as you remember yours? Do you remember him coming here and running well at times?
I remember he didn't really run good here a lot. I got in his car about 78 and run faster than he did, and he didn't like it too much. But we pitted one time, I think in 72, and his makeup pit crew pitted on the back straightaway, and that's the first time I ever changed a tire. The guy that was changing right rear tires left, and Daddy come in and hit the wall, and I grabbed the air gun and run around, going to change the right rear tire, and I was trying to hold it wide open. It was going everywhere. I weighed 130 pounds, so that's my recollections of this place.
Hey, one more question for you. I asked Mike Bliss last week. Is James Finch? Is he done? James, is he done with the party yet, or is it still on?
It's probably still on with him. I tell you, he's a car now. But I was really proud for him. I didn't get to go down there, but watched it, and it was neat to see him win.
All right, Sterling, have a great weekend.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
James Finch, of course, won at Talladega with the 09. Sterling's piloting the car here this weekend. Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Randy, and congratulations to James Finch for that dramatic win at Talladega. Stay with us here at Darlington. We're glad you're along for the ride. We're getting set for qualifying here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams. Raceway is, well, specifically, what challenges does this racetrack present?
Lady in Black, it's a very tough racetrack and very unforgiving. You cannot make a small mistake at Darlington and get away with it.
I mean, I like Darlington's, one of my favorites because it's unique and it's challenging and it's difficult, and you run right next to the wall and it's fast.
The old Darlington was so rough, and it was like a cheese grater on the tires.
We're running right at 200 miles an hour into the corner, and the car slides up the racetrack within 2 inches, 3 inches of the wall. And nowhere else do we run that fast, that close to the fence.
Hopefully this year when we go back there, it's going to be more like the old Darlington. And, I heard the last time they paved it, it only took about 1.5 years for it to get weathered and be back to the normal, same old Darlington deal. So hopefully that happens again.
All right, glad you're back with us. Just some of the drivers, they love the challenge of racing at this track that's shaped like an egg. Let's go back down and catch up with Randy.
Well, we've got one of the great modified champions of all time, Mike McLaughlin here, champion in 1988. You've been hanging around the Gibbs team and the Gibbs camp for quite some time, and as we were just chatting, you wear many hats. Give us a sense of what you're doing to keep involved in this sport after so many great years of modified racing, Mike.
Well, right now I'm just kind of help out some of the younger drivers. I don't spot, but Mark Robinson does a great job there. I just kind of hang out and reference what's going on that particular day with who's fast type thing. Seems to work out pretty good. But you can find me here fabricating in the Nationwide shop, doing a few projects on my own in my own shop for Gibbs. But great organization, and they keep me busy. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is good. A lot of people some of the newer fans don't remember you had some great Busch Series wins and now Nationwide Series. Did it just come along a little bit too late for you, Mike, in order to, like we see Joey Logano, he's 18 years old. You didn't get your shot at that age.
No, I never sat behind the wheel of anything till I was like 20, and I arrived in the Carolinas at 36 to run the Busch Series at that time. So I was pretty happy to get the shot that I did, and looking back, I mean, today they wouldn't even think of bringing somebody in at 36 years of age.
What's been your role with Joey, perhaps as a mentor, because of all your experience in this side of things in both the modified? What's been your role as far as mentoring him?
You know, we kind of review tapes going into an event. We'll look at tapes leaving, try to get him to keep his own personal notes, per se, just to stay up with what he's learning as he's progressing along. But he's done a great job. Kid's an awesome talent, and the team's been great. They've been patient with their learning curve, and I think we're going to see some good things in a short period of time here. I mean, Zippy and all his guys have done a great job. I mean, you would think they'd be, you know, pushing, but they're not. They've done a great job.
Okay, that's Mike McLaughlin. They call him Magic Shoes for a reason, and I'll tell you see all these young kids come along, Bob Dillner, and they're getting their shot, and it's been happening now really since Jeff Gordon came along. Perhaps if Mike got a little shot early on, we might have seen him with a cup trophy in his hand, but he's perfectly content and happy to have done exactly what he's done. Good to have him around. Thanks, Mike.
Let me tell you something. Magic Shoes could certainly wheel a race car. And another guy that's a shoe here in the Cup Garage, you see no sponsors on the front end of this race car. Scott Riggs and Tommy Baldwin Racing with the 36 team, and they have to qualify their way in. So Scott Riggs, you're among the best in the of the go or go home cars in practice. Your thoughts going into qualifying?
I feel pretty good about it, actually. We've struggled, had our times of struggle this year for sure, and you know, I sort of describe it as being a gunfight with a knife against some of these teams. But you know, this car and here this weekend and next 2 weekends at Charlotte, we've had time to work on the car. We've had time to go to the 7-post. We've had time to really get our P's and Q's and get us a game plan. And it's showing up today, being pretty fast, making good changes. You know, I have to tie Tommy's hands every once in a while to make sure it doesn't change too much. But you know, still trying to do it with low budget and no sponsors is hard to do, and we just had to pick and choose our battles.
You know, speed back in January, we were live at Tommy Baldwin Racing, his brand new shop, when he had nothing in it basically, the very first day, and it's come a long way since then. But has this fight actually been more difficult, you think, than Tommy or you ever imagined?
Oh, well, you know, I don't know. I think when we started this deal, we didn't really know what to expect. We knew that it was going to be tough. We knew we were going to have times, but we didn't know how we could get everything together, how good the cars were. We had cars we had bought from other teams, cars that Tommy had brought from his former employer. So, you know, it's had its ups and downs. It's been pretty tough. I know the guys have worked their guts out, and you know, working a skeleton crew and working those guys to the bone every single day and night is tough on them. And it'll be good the next couple of weeks to be at home and have a good game plan what we're doing.
Scott, good luck during qualifying here today at Darlington. And one other thing that I do want to show you guys, you see all these cars lined up. These are the go or go homers, and they have to go through the same process that everybody goes through, whether you're locked in or not. And that's the tech process here at NASCAR. Steve, you've seen it time and time again. In fact, right over here, that's usually where they have the claw that comes down and has all those pinpoint measurements on the body, but they've already gone through that process, and they have the wing on the car. That's why they can't put that mechanism on top of it. But the cars roll in here like Sterling Marlins is doing right now, and they do check certain body points on the cars, and they have to pass before they get out there onto pit road and in that qualifying mode.
And Bob, we are getting even closer now to the start of Sprint Cup Series qualifying for the Southern 500. We'll keep you updated. The first driver to go out, well, that's Jamie McMurray, and 43 car driven by A.J. Allmendinger. Stay with us. There's McMurray. We'll be right back.
Day and all night, and by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
Glad you're back with us here at the Darlington Raceway, getting closer to qualifying for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams for the Southern 500, presented by GoDaddy.com. See Mark Martin's car being pushed through inspection prior to qualifying. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Hey, Steve, quick, let's just check. Yeah, nice. Martin Truex did a great job in practice, kept the Darlington stripe off.
Well, what's more important is we were pretty quick. So Bass Pro Chevy's been pretty good all day. We're off a little when we unloaded, worked on it, got it pretty good. Wish we could have had a few more runs at it, but we were 12th in our qualifying run, which I felt like was decent, and I think we can get a little bit more, but not real sure what the track's going to do here with the jet fuel and going out early. So we'll get what we can. We started about 22nd here last year and drove in the front, so I think we can do the same.
Is this a place, though, it is difficult when you qualify in the back? I mean, we talk about it week in and week out at different racetracks going, oh, man, you want to have a good pit stall. You don't want to come through traffic. Don't want to get in a wreck. But this is a place you really got to work.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter where we start here lately. We've been caught up in wrecks. So, if you got a good car, it's 500 miles, you can get to the front. We did it last year. Like I said, we were in the top 10 on, before the first yellow. So if you got a good car, you can do it. And I feel like I've got a pretty good one here. So we'll take care of it today, see what we can get, and hope to have a good night tomorrow night.
And catapult you in, and you're going to start off in next week at the All-Star race, the 600 coming up. Get to sleep at home a little bit.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I got some family coming to town as usual, and like you say, get to sleep in your own bed. It's a really cool week for all the fans. They get to come to all the shops, not only just at the racetrack. There's a lot of things for everybody to do, with the Pit Crew Challenge and just everything going on. So it's a fun 2 weeks for all of us, and we all look forward to it for sure.
Good luck qualifying in the Southern 500, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Bob?
Larry Carter is the crew chief for Paul Menard. And Larry, I want to know one thing. You've been practicing all day today, had rain here, all the rubber may be off the racetrack. What's going through a crew chief's mind right now?
Well, really, we're just wondering how much grip is still left out there, and if there is grip. I mean, this place, when it's clean like this, a lot of times there is a lot of grip, but at the same time, when you get the jet dryers out there running around, you kind of don't know. So, I mean, I'm glad we're not going first like our teammate, but, still going out early, kind of questionable there. We'll see.
Real quickly, what are you going to tell your driver then as he straps in behind the wheel of this car?
Tell him it's going to stick. Drive it, and hopefully it will.
Sounds like a crew chief, doesn't it, Steve?
Yeah, no problem. Just go out there. It's going to stick. Trust me. All right. Thanks for all your patience here at the Darlington Raceway. We survived a pretty heavy shower. See Reed Sorensen's at 43. But we are getting set for qualifying here at the Darlington Raceway. Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry McReynolds have the call for qualifying. Stay with us.
Speed welcomes you to Darlington County, South Carolina, home of the famed Southern 500. We have had rain right after Cup practice, right at the start of what was supposed to be nationwide qualifying. The front came through, a light rain turned into a real soaker. And just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The sun came out while it was still raining, and thanks to the jet dryers and the other equipment, the track is dry, and we have just enough time in this window to get Sprint Cup qualifying in. However, Jamie McMurray has just taken a lap in the pace car to see what this green racetrack looks like. Likely, what did he find out there?
Well, here's what I tell you. We just hosed this baby down. So she's going to be nice and clean. All that debris and dirt that was up high in the groove, got rid of all that. You can go out there now and let it all hang out. But you just better be careful because that wall ain't moved. It's right where it was. And we've saw 20 cars in practice get up again it.
Yeah, and usually you hose a lady down and you make her awful angry. So, Larry, with this rain that came through, and it was forecast, everybody pretty much knew it was coming. They didn't know whether we'd have qualifying or not. Now, how do you change your car to account for what's happened to the racetrack?
Well, I think the biggest thing this racetrack is going to gain is just overall grip. Now, I'm not sure I would want to be one of those first 2 or 3 drivers because I think there's an unknown. You would tend to think with the racetrack really cooled down that the speeds are going to be way up when we get this qualifying session, but there's always the philosophy that with all these jet dryers that there's a little bit of a film of diesel fuel or jet fuel that's been on the racetrack. But I've got to believe, as cool as it is, when we get about mid-pack of this qualifying session, we're going to see some speeds based on practice earlier that's going to flirt right there with that track record.
We might even be saying it's a new track record.
They are running up in Indianapolis this month, aren't they? All right, we're set for Sprint Cup qualifying. Jamie Mack, Denny Hamlin, the first cars to go out. Home of the famous, made to your order, $5 foot long. Brought to you by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Now at your local dealer. And by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. 45 drivers lined up to qualify for 43 positions. Let's hear from the man who will go out first. Here's Matt Yoakum.
And the first man to roll off will be Jamie McMurray. So it's a win-win situation for you. You drew first, but with the rain, the jet dryers, you've gone out on the racetrack to see what the conditions are like. What are your thoughts as you get ready to roll out?
Well, I'm not real sure. I mean, you don't really know what you're going to have, but you know, the track looks pretty dry. You're just not real sure what the balance of your car will be. But the Crown Royal Ford Fusion was pretty good in practice, and we didn't really change anything here, so we'll just have to see what we have.
All right, that's Jamie McMurray. He'll roll off first here today in Darlington.
Hanging out on the wall with Greg Biffle. So, Greg, an early draw. I would imagine that was not a good thing. Now that we've had a little bit of rain, what does that do to your draw and your qualifying effort?
Well, I really don't know. You know, there's some people say there's some history with the jet dryers making the track a little bit slick with the fuel on them. The other thing is we run so close to the wall here, I didn't pay attention. They had to have turned the jet dryers around and run them backwards. So a little nervous about running right up against the wall, and don't know exactly how much grip's going to be in the track. I did before this, so we'll just have to wait and see. We'll watch these first 2 guys to see what kind of lap time they run. Give us an indication maybe how much grip's on the track, but my car is pretty fast, so I hope it's a lot.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Krista. The jet dryers use the jet exhaust to dry the track, and always in a combustion engine, there's a little bit of unburned fuel, so there might be a little bit of that Jet A. We'll see shortly.
NASCAR All-Star race is intense.
Good job of drying this racetrack. Didn't dry any of those rubber marks off the wall from 2 rounds of practice and a long nationwide practice this morning. A few damp spots on pit road, but otherwise things have dried up pretty well.
You know, Darrell talked about 45 cars here. 20 of them had encounters with the wall, spun out. We actually know for sure of 3 teams that they already had to go to a backup car. Scott Speed, the 82 car, David Ruderman, the 00, and David Stremme, the 12, in backup cars.
On this date, in 1975, Darrell Waltrip won his first career Winston Cup pole at Nashville, and is now 5th on the all-time list with 59.
Wow.
The old Fairground Speedway.
I love that place. I still do. As a matter of fact, Penny Denson is taking that track over this year, and they were supposed to have a big CRA race there last Sunday, and Kyle was going to fly up there and run in it, but it got postponed because of the weather, so I'm thinking they're going to hit that joint, you know, and that's a rescheduled race. But some great memories from the fairgrounds in Nashville.
There's Paul Menard, who will roll off 6th. Jamie Mack, Denny Hamlin, Greg Biffle, then David Reagan, Brian Vickers, and Paul Menard. Will be the first half dozen, and here we go.
Well, I think Greg Biffle said it best. Everybody will be anxiously watching these first 2 or 3 cars to see how their speed in qualifying compares to what they ran in practice.
I think they're going to be really fast. That's what I think.
Jamie McMurray was 16th in final practice. He was 4th among the Fords. Got his best finish of the season last week at Richmond, 7th.
Brings her right out next to the wall. That's a good up to speed lap right there, man. When you leave pit road here, you got to haul it.
Turn 1 and it's stuck.
Oh yeah, and he's back in the throttle too. The thing is actually pushing over on the right front just a little bit. Saw a little smoke come out there in the middle of 1 and 2. Baylor down in here and hope she sticks.
His lap time in practice was a 27.85. That was over 176 miles per hour.
Not a lot of grip.
27.87 backs it up.
I think that'll be it though. I just can't see you getting these picking up on the second lap.
He shut her down.
That would be totally against tradition here if you did. The only way that happened if you spun out or almost spun out.
But you heard him say he had a lot of grip. Probably, again, I just think that's the downside of being one of the first 1 or 2 to go out. Maybe not the conditions of the track, but the unknown about the conditions of the track.
Well, if you know, Greg Biffle goes out third, it's really nice to have a teammate that went out first, because I think the Biff's got a car that can win the pro. He radios back into Biff and says, you can go for it, buddy, it's there.
So now Denny Hamlin, who was the fastest Toyota in practice, 4th overall, led 148 laps last week, finished 14th, and this car not in the FedEx colors, but Farm Bureau insurance in this Toyota this week.
Boy, and you can tell the speed is there because they don't play around. Bailing into turn 1 and right back, look wide open. When you get off of turn 2 wide open, that means you're making some serious speed.
The minute that car took a set well before the center of 1 or 2, he nailed her and never came back out till he got to turn 3.
Oh,
got the wall.
That's how he didn't get hurt anything. A little body damage.
27.89. He was faster than McMurray until that point. Hamlin's going to play 2.
I think he was substantially faster until he got in the wall turn 4. 190 miles an hour off into turn 3.
190 miles an hour at Darlington. I never thought I'd see that day.
Not going to pick up much here. Oh, second lap is slower by 0.2 of a second.
We saw this so much in practice. We saw it in turn 2 and turn 4 there.
Yeah, you're just trying to, you know, you got to get back to the gas. And the car just wants to push, and you just run out of racetrack.
So now you're Greg Biffle, and you've heard about both those laps. What do you do?
I don't think that bothers Greg Biffle one bit. I mean, if he had the right rear rubbing on the wall, I don't think it'd really be any different than what he's used to. This cat doesn't mind riding around here on the sideways.
Biffle was 7th in final practice, the second fastest 4. He has 4 top 5 starts this year, and he has 1 pole and 2 victories here.
You can see him trying to get a little bit of heat in those tires. Most of the teams that actually went through a little scuffing process with their qualifying tires. They're not actually on brand new tires. They ran them 1 or 2 laps in practice earlier.
If you just watch our graph there, the throttle graph, when you're really, really fast, you don't back out of it. Once you get back in it, you just stay wide open. That's how you go really fast around here.
Boy, from the exit of turn 2, he has been gaining on McMurray's speed all the way around.
It's going to be a good lap. 27.68. He beats McMurray by 0.2 of a second. That's about a 10th quicker than he ran in the final practice session.
Just don't know why you don't want to run 2 laps unless you just mess up the first one. It just historically, I've never seen cars pick up here without a mistake being made first.
27, 72, 4/100 slower. So almost right on top of his first lap. Greg Biffle quickest so far in the 3M Ford Fusion. David Reagan and Brian Vickers coming up. Ford will be the 4th driver to qualify. He was 5th among the Fords, 27th overall.
He'll end up 2nd quickest, 27.78, 10th of a second behind his teammate Greg Biffle. How about Roush Fenway, though? 3 of the first cars out of the Roush Fenway stables. I think we're going to eventually see where they'll abort this second lap.
Did something come off the left front of that car?
I didn't notice.
Coming to the flag, coming off turn number 4, I saw something fly up. May have spent something already on the racetrack.
I just know it.
Oh, that was a bird.
It was.
Yeah. Our videotape folks looked back over it and decided no, it did not come off the car.
I guess the Kentucky Derby winner.
That was just a flyby.
That wasn't mine, the bird there.
Krista.
Well, the first thing Denny Hamlin did after his qualifying run was apologize to his team. I know you were racing that car, driving that car as hard as you could. Was that a matter of just making a mistake or the track not being quite ready yet, a little unsure?
No, it was a driving mistake for sure. I just swung for the fences. I tried to get in the gas way too early there, and I knew I got through 1 and 2 pretty good, and just made a mistake. I got in the gas a little bit too early, and had a little tire shake in the front. I tried to use a little brake to get the front back in the track, but just lost the nose off 4, and got a little damage. So we're gonna have to come from deep in the field, but our Farm Bureau car has done it before, so we'll have to do it again this weekend.
Crew Chief Mike Ford said can't blame a man for trying.
Thanks, Krista. Now, Brian Vickers, the Red Bull Toyota, we thought could be in threat for the pole, but his first lap gave it up on the exit of turn number 4.
Yeah, he got a little loose right in the middle of the corner there. The car bobbled with him, and it just killed his lap time.
And that pretty much killed him on lap 2, it looks like, too.
Yeah.
He picks up 2/10, but does not move up the board. Coming up, Paul Menard, Martin Truex, David Stremme. Had a tough time with turn 4 on lap 1. This is lap 2.
Yeah, my buddy Larry Carter will have a little work to do when this car gets back in the garage.
The thing we need to make note, this is just like the schedule last week at Richmond and a few weeks ago at Phoenix. This is the last time these cars will be on the racetrack until they take the green flag. Not an impound, just no more practice time.
I think most of the crew chiefs are glad of that.
I think you're right.
Got up a little high, and that's a pretty hard hit.
Here's Krista.
Mike, we talked to Greg Biffle before his lap. You were a little unsure of the track conditions. You got out there. I have to imagine you thought pretty good. Were you playing it conservative at all with that lap?
Not really. Getting up to speed, I could tell it was a little slick, and it surprised me in 1 and 2 down there. I drove in and really, really loose. I couldn't get across 1 and 2 very good. 3 and 4 was really good on the first lap. Second lap, I ran across there like a scalded ape. It had a lot of grip, and then it was just the tires are too hot on the second lap in 3 and 4 and just pushed up and almost got the fence. I don't know if you could slid a piece of paper in there. I don't know. Hopefully that'll be top 10 maybe.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Martin Truex on track. Just about 10th off of pole right now. He's qualified in the top 5 the last 2 races.
Pretty good.
He's up 3rd quickest at a 27.79.
Speaking of the Biff, I don't know if he wants to settle on the pole or not. He settled on the pole here last year, and he finished 43rd, so that might not be such a good omen for him.
First blowed up, didn't he?
First to last, but he had a hot rod while he was out there, I'll say that.
Yeah, he's won 2 of the last 4 races here. As Martin Truex Jr. is going to go ahead and take lap 2. Like Darrell and I were talking earlier, the other 2, he should have won those. Blew an engine and then bottomed and I think busted a flywheel.
Broke the flywheel, yeah, I think it was hitting the track.
Truex is 3rd. Coming up, David Stremme, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch. It takes time. Piloting the Starship Enterprise is David Stremme. 11th at Richmond, ties his best start of the season. Also in Las Vegas.
It's the backup Starship.
Right.
Which I didn't know they had one, but.
Yeah. Commander Suda couldn't get the original one repaired in time.
No.
His first lap, 28.09.
It'd be like that little Energizer bunny. They beats on that thing when it don't crank.
Sixth.
Slow down just a little bit on lap 2, which about everybody has.
Yep.
So the Star Trek Dodge, 6th of 8 right now. And here's Krista.
With Martin Truex. And Martin, this is not traditionally one of your better qualifying tracks, so were you hoping that it would get rained out, or is this going to be better?
I think this will be a little better. You know, our best pro Chevy's been pretty good today. Like you said, we've never qualified good here. We've always raced well. You know, I think last year this was one of our best races that we had a shot at win at last year. So we'll see where that'll put us. You know, that was we ran a 79 twice in practice, and that's all we could run, and that's what we just ran there. So it's all the old girls got in there today, and hopefully it'll be better tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, Martin.
Hey, here comes the rocket, Ryan Newman.
He's rocketing down that back straightaway, I can tell you that.
It's been 38 races since he had a pole, but here comes the Army Chevrolet.
He's got a lot of momentum, his team does. Comes in there with a lot of momentum on their side. Third at Talladega, ran great last week at Richmond.
And in the last 6 races, he's come from 32nd to 10th in the points, and he is fastest with a 51.
I'll tell you what, that's only a 10th off of that track record right there. 27:51, 178.76 miles per hour, around a mile and a third racetrack.
And here's Matt.
And catching up with Carl Edwards' unique paint scheme this weekend. You're down here with your crew chief Bob Osborne, watching a lot of drivers on their entry. What are some of the things that have stood out to you?
Stands out. It's so fast right here. It doesn't look that fast in the race car, but Bob said the secret he thinks is being in the gas more. And I'll agree with him. It looks like some of these guys are getting right back in the throttle, and I'm going to do everything I can to stay on the throttle as much as I can, but we need to pick up about a second, so this is going to either be a great lap or a real ugly one. I'm going to do my best.
All right, thanks, Greg. Thank you.
He ran a 28:31 in final practice, Carl Edwards did.
Larry, I can't help believe that the track is going to pick up a little more speed. It's going to cool down a little bit, and these guys running 2 laps, I believe, is good news for guys on back in the field here, because if we were doing one and done, we'd have to run a lot of cars to get this kind of rubber down. So good news for guys that are further back in the line here, I think.
Kurt Busch, the Miller Lite Dodge, got his first career pole here at Darlington. Can he get a second?
He lost
it from the middle of 3 and 4 off.
He almost had it.
And he misses it by, what, 55 thousandths of a second.
He was in great shape till down in the middle of turn 3 and 4.
And you know what, as minute as that is, he knows exactly where he left it on the track.
And he's still in great shape, because look at the turnaround this Penske team has had. This time last year, they were 24th in points. Right now, he's number 2 and close to the lead.
Yeah, I think he's, what, 10 points out of first?
I think the biggest difference is the fact that, yeah, he won the race to Atlanta. He's had top 12 finishes in 8 of the 10 races, but he's completed all but 1 lap of competition this year. Well, here's his brother, Kyle Busch, the 18 car.
As far as we know, Kyle hasn't won a race in, gosh, 6 days.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Got 2 chances, though.
He led 169 laps here last year, starting 6th, going on to score the win. See what the M&M's Toyota can do here.
It looks good. You know, I don't think he's got pole speed, and that may be why the car looks good. It looks like he's really handling well.
6th, 783. That is right in league with his teammate Denny Hamlin, although Hamlin bounced it off the wall.
Now, if he can get through 3 and 4, that's what always happens. Pressures come up the tires, they get hot, and you'll lose grip right here in 3 and 4. If he could get through there, he had a chance to pick up a little bit, but it's just so hard to do.
Yeah, that first lap is actually a little bit slower than he ran in practice. He actually picks it up about a half of a tenth, but it was good enough to pick up 2 positions.
27.77 now for Kyle Busch. He is 4th fastest. Krista?
Ryan Newman, currently our pole sitter. So I got to know, what's worse, waiting out the rain or waiting out qualifying to see if that sticks?
The rain's tough because you don't know what the racetrack's going to do, and we saw how many cars were out of control when it was green from the get-go this morning, including me. So just a good lap for the U.S. Army Chevrolet. Hopefully it's top 10 starting spot. We were just struggling to get the balance between one end of the racetrack and the other. I did, I think, 2 qualifying runs in practice, so that was a good effort for us.
Thanks, Ryan.
Matt Kenseth next. His best start here is 6th. Only has 1 top 10 finish in the last 8 races. That was 5th at Texas.
In fact, he was 6th quickest in that final practice session, and about halfway down the back straightaway, pretty decent. Lost a little ground getting off into turn 3, which could be a good thing. Maybe that means he picked the throttle up quicker.
Of course, the fastest Ford in practice.
I believe it's going to do it. It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be enough. Yes, 27:47.
Now we're just within a few hundredths of a track record,
which is 27:405.
Still going.
Faster yet.
Tell you what, that little number right up there is showing where he's actually a little bit better.
And this could be.
I don't know if it's going to get.
Yes, it's a new track record.
27.394, 179.5 miles per hour.
Glad it's him and not me.
May 16th, you have just 1 week to get your tickets, and they start at just $25. Call the number on your screen or go to the Lowe's Motor Speedway website. Michael Waltrip and the Napa Toyota struggled in practice.
Well, you know, we got word that they were just making race runs, that they never really made that many qualifying runs, and Michael was like the slowest car in practice. I think he improved upon that.
It's not looking a whole lot better right now, Darrell. I think he'll run faster than he ran in practice at 28:24, but 12th out of the 13.
We have to explain that little bit of exclamation going to the last break. Tom Carnegie, the longtime public address voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, big booming voice. Fella had a great love of racing and just a great command of that microphone, and was well known for two statements. One is he's on it when a driver begins his qualifying run, and the other was for a new track record. So we honor Tom with that every time we get a chance.
I tell you, that made going in Indianapolis, that was just a part of it. Hearing Tom on the microphone, hearing him on the PA.
Now, Michael picked up a little bit on lap 2, but it wasn't enough to pick him up any positions.
Let's see if Matt Kenseth is as surprised as we are. Krista.
Well, that's what we were just joking about. Nationwide poll last week. Currently the poll now, we're joking you're becoming a front row qualifier. Was that going to stick?
I don't know about that. I mean, I can only go as fast as these cars will carry me. And Drew and Chip bought me a really fast car this week. This thing's been really good in practice the whole time. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. If we qualify well, it's just a bonus.
And did you think maybe you left something out there? I mean, you took that, taking that second lap.
Yeah, the first lap I did, I got a little high up in 1 and 2, and the right rear got hung out there a little bit where I had to roll out of the gas. So I knew I left a little bit of time there. The tires don't seem to much more, so I just figured I'd try one more time.
Great run for Matt Kenseth. Tony Stewart has started top 15 in every one of his Darlington races but 2. Second at Richmond, moved him up to 3rd place.
He's got to be so proud. He's sitting there in 3rd place on the 39 points out of the lead, and then gets his teammate after a great run last week. Ryan Newman into the top 10 as well after 10 races of the season.
Stewart's a contender, but he's 8th right now with a 27.84.
You know, being an owner driver, it's not right for everybody in the garage area. But when a guy like Tony, it's perfect for him, I think, because he kind of likes to call his own shots in everything he does.
Following right in the tire tracks of his idol, A.J. Foyt, right down to the car number.
Do the same. NASCAR reminds you, take care of your car and it'll take care of you.
Reed Sorensen on track for Richard Petty Motorsports, carrying Valvoline colors this week and honoring Dale Inman on the hood and other great racing crew chiefs. What a big turnaround for this team. He is 22nd in the points, and that is 9 places higher than he was this time last year.
I heard Casey Kane doing an interview. Whoa, you don't get up there. Oh, a little too hard into turn 3. It's going to hurt the car and the speed. I heard Casey Kane say that of all the Richard Petty Motorsports cars, actually Reed had been doing the best job over the last several weeks.
And you know what kind of makes that Darlington stripe sad? Is he's pretty much qualifying for pit selection only. These guys had an engine failure in practice, had to change the engine, so this was really just to get a couple of laps on this engine and see where they could qualify for a decent pit selection.
Engine's okay. The car got a little work to do.
Second lap was quicker for Sorensen. Here's a look at lap 1 going into turn 3.
And you can see normally you want those left side tires down on that white line getting into turn 3. When you miss it that high, you're going to get up in that stuff you see flying up behind the car, all that dirt and dust and a little bit of rubber, and you get that on the tires, the car just will not turn.
Let's join Matt with Reed's teammate.
AJ, I'm doing top 20 in practice and final practice session on the racetrack. But when you first came to the Darlington Raceway from your open wheel days, what was your first thoughts about this place?
It was kind of like, holy, we can't really say that on TV, but yeah, I was like, this isn't an oval. I remember thinking, you know, somebody screwed up the design in this place because it's way different than any other place I've been to. But no, it's a lot of fun. I kind of liked it older before it got repaved. You're sliding around a lot more, but it's a lot of fun being here. It's you hold your breath. I've already scuffed up the side of the race car. I figured that I spent enough money at Best Buy already buying a lot of flat screen TVs. I'm going to try to spend a little of theirs by damaging the race car a little bit. But no, it was practice session was tough, but the Best Buy Dodge, we got it okay in qualifying trim. It rained, so we don't know what we have now, but having a lot of fun and go out there and see if we can put a lap down.
All right, thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
Carl Edwards on track, his Amazon Ford, sporting the colors and characters of the new Pixar movie Up. And Carl has not had great qualifying results this year, but this looks like a top 5 run. In fact, his only top 10 start this year was when qualifying got rained out at Martinsville, and he started by points.
He actually picked up almost a full 10th on lap 2, goes from 5th to 4th. So right now we've got 3 of the Roush Fenway cars in the top 5. Quite a turnaround from their short track performance this year.
Absolutely.
Looks like the track's pretty good right now. It's got enough rubber down now, and the temperatures are dropping. Pretty good speed in the track. I did like the way AJ dropped this. You know, there's a kind of a fun way to always get your sponsor plug in, and I thought he did a nice job there of mentioning his sponsors.
Very nice, very creative.
Creative, yes.
Joey Logano comes out for his run. He was 35th in practice. This is his first NASCAR race at Darlington in the Sprint Cup Series.
Get a little time around this mile of the 3rd racetrack. Of course, no testing this year, even for the rookies. Looks like he's on a pretty good run going off into turn 3, but he was down here about a month ago with Cale Yarborough. Cale took him around in a 2-seater race car just to show him the nuances of this place. And it's going to be a great effort by this 18-year-old rookie. In fact, he's going to be 3rd quickest at a 27.54.
And he's the fastest Toyota by a wide margin. And if you look at his practice times, you'd say, where did that come from?
That's Darlington is just famous for that. Notorious for holding 4 tires on, patting the driver on the back and saying, you can do it.
I think he's already got the goodie out of it, but he definitely out-qualifies his 2 teammates.
I've been liking the last, 3 weeks, I guess. This 20 car has started to look like the 20 car of old. Been handling really good. He's been driving the lines around the track really well. I think it's coming to him.
Well, 3rd, that is a tremendous run.
You got it.
I'm glad that's over.
Oh, boy.
That's great.
Just think, he's 18 years old. Think how many years he's got to look forward to this.
If he ever starts to complain, and Darrell, just remind him of when we used to run here twice a year.
Yeah.
Instead of just once. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 21st in the final practice. He has 2 front row starts here. And he's finished in the top 11 the last 7 races.
Come on, June, get that overdue car up near the front.
He has not had, Darrell, a top 10 start in 2009.
Unbelievable. Don't think we're going to have one this week either.
Yeah, this is going to be well on back. Right now, he's 13th quickest.
Just barely breaks 28 seconds.
You know, the interesting thing with the performance of this team this year, with only 1 top 5 and 3 top 10 finishes, he's still only 87 points out of the top 12 right now. But I think before they think about that, they're going to have to get that performance up there.
One thing just got real loose with him getting into 3 there. Saved it.
This will definitely be slower.
Krista?
Joey and I laughing about what he said and what our audience heard. He said, thank goodness it's over, but I also heard you say that this car could be very good for the race, too. How good is that lap compared to how it's going to race?
We'll see. I don't know we're going to end up there with our qualifying run, but I think the car was okay in race trim. We weren't by no means excellent, but I think a lot of it's just me getting used to this place. It's so different, and like I said, qualifying, a lot of cars have been wrecking and all that stuff, and you're digging as fast as you can right up by that wall, so it's a fun racetrack. I'm going to learn tonight in the Nationwide car, so we'll soon get the whole game fired up tomorrow.
Are you holding your breath?
Yeah, I'm breathing hard right now for some reason.
Thanks, Joey.
Kevin Harvick, Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet, 28th in the final practice. He's had a couple of top 5 starts here, but not in a while. Just a 1 top 10 start in his last 10 Darlington appearances.
And you know, you heard Chris ask him, was he holding his breath? Not good. Not good. That's something you have to concentrate on, in addition to staying off the wall, is breathing. Trying to make your run around here, because you do almost end up holding your breath.
But you know, Mike, just still talking about Joey Logano, that's got to make he and that entire race team awfully proud to go through 3 hours of practice and qualifying, considering about 23 cars have hit this wall or scraped this wall, and that old 20 car just as clean as she can be down the right side.
Now, you're right, to have stayed off the wall and qualify 3rd, that's quite a day's work. Kevin Harvick is 13th for the 27.91. A.J. Allmendinger, Casey Kane next. Platinum Victory Challenge at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Watch it live May 16th as part of Speed's special edition of NASCAR Race Day.
I'm going to participate in that little burnout deal. I hope I can do it. Holy cow.
Humdinger.
My God. I thought we were fixing to see a big crash.
That was a fright for A.J. Allmendinger, who was the 2nd fastest Dodge in practice, but he is all over the place.
This thing is wiggling and wobbling and jumping around.
Well, let's call that a get up to speed lap.
Yeah, he'll run the 2nd lap. He's got to regroup here.
Y'all are pretty optimistic. I don't know if he can make a 2nd lap or not, the way that thing was looking.
Definitely, it's just not in the racetrack.
Sliding around the whole top of the track.
Boy, was that one heck of a save.
It was. That thing snapped around. That's usually the ones that get away from you. Great save, I got to tell you.
It really was. From a 28.29 to a 28.17, but Allmendinger is 18.
Watch this thing, Mike. Larry, watch it jump. He's coming off the corner. He's in the throttle. Watch this thing just jump out from under him. Oh, he gets down on the flat. He got way down on the apron just a little bit too much. You got to clip that, but you can't get down that low. And that's what set him around like that.
It's about as close as you're going to come to spinning out, not spinning out.
Reminds me of Buddy Baker's line. He started that wreck, he just didn't finish it. Here's his teammate Casey Kane. Casey has 3 poles here at Darlington in only 6 races. Kane was 31st in final practice, though. And in the last 5 races, his stock has fallen in the points from 6 to 17.
I think you can see right there where Casey over there in turn 2, just like you were talking about, Darrell, he just barely got those left side tires down on that white line.
Yeah, you want about half the tire on that line.
That's exactly what he did. This is going to be a pretty good lap. 6th quickest, 27.63 for the 9 car.
And looking faster on lap 2.
I think the lap 2, the pickup a lot of times is mental. I think you got a good first lap and you say, I believe I can go a little harder, because it really is truly in the hands of the drivers here.
He was 192 miles an hour off in the turn 3 that time on lap 2. He's going to be a little better, I think, Mike.
From a 63 yes to a 56, 4th fastest for Casey Kane.
All right, man. Good 2nd lap.
And he is now the fastest Dodge. And that is a huge turnaround from practice for Casey Kane. Nicely done.
Dodge hadn't won a race here since, I think, like 2002. And I think Sterling Marlin is the last guy to win here in the Dodge.
Matt?
Mike, there's a lot going on down here surrounding the 00 car. First, he's trying to get voted into the All-Star race. Number 2, he's talking about his dad's age and lying about it. In number 3, he's got a backup car, only 18 laps on it. Number 4, your franchise sticker was passed to your teammate, and then he whacked the wall. There's been a lot going on today.
Yeah, the franchise sticker, I think, is going to be maybe put to bed for a while. They stuck it on Marcus's car because he's been running better than I have the last couple of weeks, and he got the fence a little bit too. So he said he didn't want no part of that. He said I could have North America. He wanted to be the international franchise. So we've been having some fun with that. But yeah, we had a good car and had a great airstream machine, and I managed to tear it up. So we got the backup out. So we just need to be conservative, get a good lap in, and move on from there.
For the record, we're hearing his dad is 43 years old.
43.
That's what he said.
There's no way, but he's claiming 68. I'm saying 69, at least 70. But it depends on what day you ask him.
He's a Hall of Famer no matter what.
Well, just tell him, Matt, there was a time in Dale Earnhardt's career when age, according to the press notes, was going down instead of up.
I think there's 2 people that will never know exactly how old they are, and that's Buzzy Ruderman and Red Farmer.
Red knows. He just knows we don't need to know. Here's Elliott Sadler. The first of his 7 Cup poles came here. And Elliott in the Stanley Dodge clocks in at 27.85. That's 12th quickest. And he's the 3rd fastest Dodge.
Yeah, this is the Richard Petty Motorsports segment of qualifying. 3 of them in a row.
There he is.
Doesn't look a day over 43.
Oh, that's a legend right there.
Still racing and still winning.
You know why? Look at him. He's still intense. Right there, he was all up on the, looking that car over and figuring out anything he could do to make it go faster.
Jeff Gordon, 1 final practice, driving the employer support for the guard and reserve. Chevrolet for Rick Hendrick.
This will be a hey, watch this lap, I think. When Jeff is on, look out.
Daryl, he eased it down into 1 and 2, picked the throttle up early, but still doesn't look like a cold run just yet.
Let's see if he calls it in. He usually calls in off 34 if it's any good or not.
It'll be a decent lap, but it will not. Boy, keeps coming down.
I can do another one.
Jeff has 3 poles here. This won't be his 4th. He is a 1/10 of a second exactly behind Matt Kenseth.
He beat the old track
That was
record.
exciting.
By just a little bit.
Coming up, Robbie Gordon, Jeff Burton, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Carrying the Quaker State colors on his Toyota. And, Robbie was 27th in final practice.
See that finish he got at Richmond? Did he ever need a decent run? Because he was just flirting with falling outside the top 35. Now he has a little cushion. He's 34th, 69 points to the good.
It's funny, Larry, because you and I said before the race ever started, we said all he needs is a nice, quiet night. Run the whole race and don't get in any trouble.
That's what he did.
And that's exactly what he did.
Robbie's looking for his first ever top 20 start at Darlington. Track that has tamed him since 1997. He has 1 top 10 finish here.
It would be a very gallant qualifying effort, at least here on lap 1. He's 18th out of the 24 cars.
And that's 1 and done for Robbie. Krista?
Well, 2 things stood out to me what Jeff Gordon said. First, you had given Matt Kenseth credit for his lap, and you said, I can't do another one like that.
No, that was on the edge. I thought I wrecked right there, actually. It was just a little bit too loose, you know, but you got to go for it. But I could only go for it for 1 lap. I didn't want to see if it'd go any faster because I thought we'd take too much risk at wrecking it. But really excited about having National Guard and ESGR on board this weekend with the DuPont Chevrolet. And the guys have been doing an awesome job. We worked really hard on a lot of race stuff, and then we put it into qualifying trim. The car really came to life, and that was a heck of a lap, man. But I tell you, Matt, we had an awesome lap.
Selective risk taking.
Here's a fella I think we're going to have to deal with tomorrow night. Jeff Burton has 8 top 5s in a row here, including 2 wins. He has 1 front row start, and his last 3 races here have all been top 10 finishes.
He's getting a good time out of that lap here, but he was way up high and getting into 1. He's way up high getting into 3, but He's hanging on to it.
I'm going to tell you what, he's 5th quickest. And Darrell, one of the things you and I harp on a lot is their qualifying effort. Go back to Richmond last week. They qualified 5th. That was their best effort of the year. And they finished 3rd. And right now, about halfway through this field, he's 5th quickest here. I believe they've been listening.
I think they may be.
Burton was 2nd fastest in final practice.
Well, there's no question. We've seen it time and time again. And last year when it got a lot of rain out, when qualifying got rained out a lot, and he got started up front based on points, he got great finish. Matter of fact, he won Charlotte because of that.
Paulo Montoya, the Target Chevrolet. 9th of the Chevrolet is in practice, 19th overall. 6 top 15 starts this year, including the pole at Talladega. And he's just 35 points out of the top dozen that would make the chase for the Sprint Cup.
Had that top 10 finish at Richmond. Talked to Brian Patty, his crew chief, and he said they were pretty proud of that finish at Richmond because Richmond has not been one of his better racetracks. And Brian and that crew basically rebuilt that race car before the race, changed everything about it, worked out pretty good.
Brian's a good crew chief, and he and Juan working together, that makes a lot of sense. Similar personalities, I think. It's a good combination.
Really loose into 1 post up.
18th with a 27.93, and that's enough for Montoya.
Heard him say it was just really loose, and he decided he didn't want any more of that. 1 lap was enough.
I think that could be the difference in the early going out. No rubber much on the track. Car's just really free. Now you got rubber down, and that free car becomes a loose car.
Log on to speedtv.com now for your chance to win $250 cash. Marcus Ambrose, our next qualifier, the Bush's Baked Beans. Toyota.
He almost baked them down in turn 1 there.
He was the 4th fastest Toyota in practice, 15th overall.
But this is the first laps he's had in this car since he slapped the wall in turn 4 with only about 5 minutes to go in that final practice session. I'll tell you what, it's going to be
not a bad lap.
Real good lap. 9th quickest for Marcos, 27.65. Well, I would say a lot of unknowns to him going back out there and qualifying this car.
When you can take a car like as wrecked as bad as his was last week and finish 11th with it, getting in this backup car and going out and qualifying is a piece of cake.
That's it. What I've seen that I really like is nothing much phases him.
Very resilient.
Yes. A little slower on the 2nd lap, but he is the 2nd fastest Toyota.
Not a bad lap.
9th overall.
This will be his very first Cup start here tomorrow night.
So he hits the wall in practice, and they go to interview him, and what does he say? Don't forget to grill the beans. Okay.
We're a little bit too snug there through the middle, but I'll take that as a win right there, boys. Thank you so much.
I'll take that as a win. Nice lap. Plenty of time tomorrow to paint the right side of that car. David Rudiman. 2 races here, a best start of 14th, the finish of 19th. Rudiman not very fast in practice. After hitting the wall and taking out the backup car for that 2nd session, he was 11th in the 1st session with the primary car.
And after the problems at Richmond last week, finishing 28th, he fell outside the top 12 for the first time in several weeks. 31 points out right now.
This car looks a little bit edgy.
Keeps getting quicker as it comes to the line, though, Darrell. 17th. Not a bad lap, considering where he was in practice with it.
Yeah, that is significantly quicker than he ran in practice by a lot. Run his 2nd one, but you can see on the tracker it'll be significantly slower than lap 1. So he ends up 17th right now.
Seven drivers to go before we move into knockout qualifying, with 2 drivers to go home from this one.
And I think that is going to be quite the contest in itself.
Yes. Yeah, there's about As usual, 4 drivers knotted up for those last 4 spots. 2 of them will make it, 2 of them won't. And you see the Nationwide cars lined up on the left there for their race this evening. That one, qualifying was rained out, and they'll start by points. Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman on the front row. Carl Edwards, Joey Logano, row 2. And here's Sudden Sam. Sam Hornish, he got in a little slide with the wall earlier. He's been to Darlington once. It was for a Nationwide race last year. He finished 12th.
I think he spun out twice in practice.
Yeah, second time didn't hit it.
Yeah, second time.
Correct.
But I got to tell you, I saw an interview he did this afternoon after that was over with. Last year he had his head down. He said that would have done him in. This year he had his head up, looking in that camera and saying, "I told people we were coming," and he's not kidding.
Now Hornish was the fastest Dodge in final practice. Right now the fastest Dodge is Casey Kane in 6th.
Halfway down the back straightaway.
Looking good.
He's all inside the top 10 right now.
Get through here without spinning out where he's had a bit of a problem.
Tell you what, he got in deep, and that car stuck.
Wow.
And look at this run on Sam Hornish.
He's the fastest Dodge again, 27.51, 4th.
I think I would stop down.
I would definitely, if I was Travis Geisler, I'd be all over that radio.
But, you know, I'm looking at the car coming off turn 2. The thing was comfortable. I think he just gave up. He's just going to, tires get hot and it just slows down a little bit on the second lap normally.
Yeah, he's definitely going to slow down. We've seen a few cars, obviously, like our pole sitter right now, Matt Kenseth, pick up on lap 2, but Sam will slow down about a half a 10.
2 good laps.
Well, his second lap would have been 9th fastest if it had been the fastest one he'd run. So that's a great run for Sam Hornish.
This team is really, really coming on this year, just like all the Penske teams are.
Boy, Darrell, look at the cars in the 50s right now. We got a 510, 512, 542, 548, 56, 56.
Yep. And that's 3rd through 8th right there that Larry spoke of. Casey Mears.
This car ran pretty quick in practice too.
He did, Darrell. He was the 8th quickest Chevrolet and 17th overall when practice was over. Looking for his first top 10 Darlington start. 20th in the point standings right now. And the other half of that team swap with Kevin Harvick that occurred just over a week ago at Richard Childress Racing.
It's going to be a pretty solid little run with him. Brand new race car they brought here. He'll be right there inside the top 15. 12th quickest. 27.73.
And that puts him 2nd on the Childress team to Jeff Burton.
You know, we were talking during the practice. I think what this young man needs here is just a year working with the same group of people, the same crew chief, without a lot of swapping around. That's been like the tail of his career almost.
Stability. Yep. That'll be great. 5 more cars to go that are locked into the field, and then knockout qualifying. Runs the Light Block 400 on June 14th. Tickets are available starting at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. Call the number on your screen or visit their website. John Andretti is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway driving for Richard Petty, so Tony Raines hops into the seat of the 34. He's driven some races for their nationwide team, and it's the A&W root beer float today.
And you can see not a very good effort here. And this team needs to get a little something going. They've been locked into the top 35 all year long, including at the start of the season. But they are flirting because they're 35th, only 44 points inside the top 35.
Raines is like a designated hitter. You know, he just said you need somebody to get in the car and get it in the race or do a good job, keep out of trouble. He's your man.
Now, he ran 2 races in 2009, Phoenix and Richmond.
Maybe designated hitter and racing isn't such a good idea.
No.
Might not be.
No, Ted Christopher, fellows like that come to mind.
Yeah.
That's the old Ted, not the one that won the national championship. The old Ted Christopher. Sorry, Ted. Clint Boyer, BB&T Chevrolet. Boyer's had an average 26. That was better than the first practice session, however.
They just kept jumping the fence. He was real tight. The car wouldn't turn, and I think they finally put a major swing at it, and it was way too loose. And then they tried to start coming back, and they got it too tight again. They just couldn't find the right balance on this thing.
Let me tell you, I'll take way too tight.
I'd rather have a little tug on that steering wheel.
I can control that tight with that gas pedal.
Boyer's a past pole winner here. He won the pole for the 2007 race, and this is going to turn out considerably better than practice for Clint Boyer.
I think they will end up being fairly happy with this right here, considering everything they fought in practice. 2780, that puts him 16th.
Yeah, he's third of the four Childress cars, but that should put him in the top half of the field.
Childress Racing, they have 8 Darlington wins, all of them with the late Dale Earnhardt.
We get in the middle of the corner and you want to mat that thing so badly because you know that would make it would go fast if you could, but you just can't. You don't have the comfort or the control to be able to get the throttle down.
And look, the drop off to lap 2 was less than a tenth of a second for Boyer. Pretty good hot rod there.
I think there'll be a lot of stopwatches come out of the pocket on this car right here watching Mark Martin qualify.
Little man.
Mark was 5th overall in final practice. His first pole came here in 1989. His second one in 1998. So it's time.
And I'm going to tell you what, as he did a lot of places, he owned this place in the Nationwide Series. 8 wins and 8 poles in 29 starts in the Nationwide Series here.
What's happened here? This car is way off of practice time.
Not going anywhere today. That's a big surprise. Not really. He's kind of running a low line, really. He's not getting it up next to the fence on this qualifying run.
Tell you what, he bought a lot back on that qualifying lap from the middle of turn 3 and 4 off, but I think he'll go ahead and probably run this second lap the way it's looking.
And that first one had the look of a bad get up to speed one.
Yeah, he just was real low in 3 and 4 down here. Never let the car get up next to the fence. This lap he is, and he's getting back to the throttle here to see if it helps him any.
I don't think he's going to.
Got all the good out of it, yeah.
So perhaps as surprising as Matt Kenseth being on pole right now is Mark Martin qualifying 12th quickest, identical time to Casey Mears.
Yeah, just loose. The thing about guys like Mark particularly, you can't tell what the car is doing because he drives it right. If it's loose, he doesn't get it too loose. If it's pushing, he doesn't get it pushing too much. He just kind of gets, he goes where the car will go.
Drives it to the limit.
Exactly.
Jimmy Johnson in the Lotus Chevrolet, 3rd fastest in final practice. 2 wins here, 8 top 10s, 6 top 10 starts, including the outside pole in 2003.
Oh, man, that thing is, oh, yeah, it's in trouble. Oh. Man, that thing was out of control.
Way back in.
Way back there. Well, that's something to. It's 2 things I haven't seen in a pretty good while with this 48 team. Last week, a mechanical problem and trouble on the racetrack, and here we are qualifying, and obviously big trouble today. I think I'd shut her down.
And these fellows are headed for the hauler for the backup car.
You don't even have to evaluate this one.
You know, watch this thing. It gets out from under him way back here in the middle of the corner. It's already hanging out. When he gets right here, look, it's already hanging out with him. Hanging. And I'm not sure if he thought he could save it or I guess that was what we've been going through his mind at that point, but that thing was loose.
Mike, those 2 shots, watch this right here. This will show you what a great job that the tethers on things like the deck lid does in that wing. See how they hold it onto the race car? That's something that NASCAR added to these cars several years ago. Hard lick, but you can see the wing and the deck lid still hanging on to that race car.
Something we haven't seen a lot of, too, is Larry, that spoiler is broken off of the deck lid.
The wall here at Darlington, Darrell, is higher than at a lot of the tracks we run. The safer barrier is taller, and it does catch that wing, where at other tracks the bumper gets into the safer barrier and the wing is above it. And when the wing went, the trunk deck lid and everything else went with it. Of course, when you stove the back end of the car in that far, everything's going.
Well, and you could hear him. I mean, he never lifted. When that thing got loose and it started around with him, he held it wide open.
And as we mentioned, no more practice, so the first laps that backup car will be from the rear of the field when they get the green flag. And you just look, finished 30th at Talladega, was caught up in that crash on lap 179. Darrell mentioned the mechanical issue last week with the brake line. Ended up finishing 36th. They have fallen back to 6th in points just in a couple of weeks.
Now, there's a procedure that the EMS people and the NASCAR officials go through anytime a driver has a crash with the wall and does not drive the car away. The driver's escorted into one of the ambulances for a mandatory trip to the care center to be checked out. A NASCAR official retrieves the driver's helmet and his head and neck restraint in order to check that out as well. Other officials are assigned to look at the car once it comes back to the garage area to make sure that all the safety systems that are in place to protect the driver performed as intended.
Now, you know, when Jimmy Johnson wrecks a race car, that it pretty much was about out of control.
Yeah, I can't recall. It's been Dover, what, 2 years ago, maybe, when he spun qualifying. Remember coming off turn 4?
Well, he didn't save it. He just didn't hit nothing.
Yeah,
right. Let's have another look at it in super slow motion. And you'll see the impact absorbing qualities of this car of today platform. Jimmy Johnson is okay, and qualifying will continue when we return to Darlington.
Saturday,
CS battle when the Rays take on the Red Sox, plus the Braves battle the Phillies or the Giants take on the Dodgers. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern with This Week in Baseball, and then in prime time from here at Darlington, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, only on Fox.
There'll be a lot of work to do there on that 48 car. Of course, they'll have to go through all the NASCAR inspection procedures and go through everything to get it ready to race.
Here's where we stand so far with the top 10 anchored by Marcus Ambrose. And we'll give you a look at qualifying so far. And upon further review, the rear of the deck lid of Jimmy's car is what backed into the safer barrier, not the rear wing, which when that deck lid was hit, was pushed up and the wing got up and into the fence. Yet everything was tethered, as you pointed out, and kept on the racetrack where it belonged. And that takes me back to the Carl Edwards crash at Talladega and on Fox, when I wanted to try to convey calm and looking at the replay saw that no large pieces of debris from the car flew into the grandstand. The safety systems did their job. Unfortunately, I overspoke in saying that no debris got into the stands. Anytime you have a crash like that, there's going to be a debris field, debris traveling, and I certainly didn't mean to say that nothing flew off that car, but that the safety systems all did their job, just as they did in Jimmy's crash, where the tethers worked and everything, the major components of the car stayed on the car and on the racetrack, not going through that fence.
When you look at that car would have never gotten into the fence if Ryan Newman hadn't run under it and got it and lifted it up.
Right. Carl's car was headed back down onto the racetrack.
But when Ryan got under it, lifted it up, that fence did an amazing job. But watch, when Carl's car gets loose here,
you'll see the roof flaps deploy.
Right here he gets bumped. Now watch the roof flaps as his car starts backwards. There they are. And the car is going to set back down right there. And then here comes Ryan. It was just a perfect storm for launching this car into the safety fence. but that car weighs 3,500 pounds, and that fence contained most of the car and put it back out in the racetrack. That's pretty amazing, really.
You know, guys, one of the neatest stories later on in the week before we got to Richmond is the young lady that had the worst injury. I think something with her jaw. Carl Edwards actually called her and talked to her. That was her first time to come to a NASCAR race. Her dad had brought her, and she said, I had the time of my life, and I can't wait to go back to my next NASCAR race.
Her dad took her. I think they have a small business there around the Talladega somewhere. Her dad took her. He wanted to sit down near the racetrack because the first time she'd ever been, and he wanted her to feel the impact of the cars going by, how loud and how fast. And that's why they chose to sit down there.
And we're all gratified that so few people sustained injuries, and that they were all of what the track doctor described as being minor in nature. Now, we may not consider that minor, but to a trauma specialist, someone who specializes in mass trauma, absolutely. The fact that no one received a life-threatening injury, I think, was gratifying to all of us.
Yeah, it could have been catastrophic.
Yes.
And so, you know, to get out of there with what we got out of there with, that was pretty amazing.
But I think what we take away is that the safety systems that were in place, both on the cars and in the catch fencing, did their job, contained that car and all of its major components, and everybody involved gets to race again.
Yeah.
Back to qualifying as Bobby Labonte comes on track. The Academy Sports and Outdoors Fusion for Hall of Fame Racing. Bobby got a pole here for Joe Gibbs Racing in 1997 and a victory here in 2000 in the Southern 500.
Now, is this a backup car?
I don't think they went to a backup car, Darryl.
They had a problem.
No, you can see right
the right
there.
side is.
Yeah, they had a problem. They were pretty quick in that final practice session. They were actually 13th quickest, but I think trying to make a second practice qualifying run, he did get into the wall, but this looks like the same car.
We were pretty surprised when Bobby Labonte got in trouble.
But this will be the last of our top 35 guys to qualify. It'll be knockout qualifying coming up after Bobby.
I know they had high hopes for this session because Bobby was the third fastest Ford in practice, and I don't think they're going to be thrilled with 26th and a 27.94.
This looks like they just get me a good lap and do what you can. We got a little more work to do in the car. Don't create any more problems. Just get us a lap and bring it home. Car looks a little wee bit tail happy.
So he slows down about a tenth, so right now he's 26th out of our 35 cars it's been.
So we move to knockout qualifying. 10 drivers for 8 positions. No past champion in the field. And only one of those drivers was in the top 20 in final practice, and that was David Gilliland, who was 20th.
Still, there's some pretty fast cars in this little group right here.
Scott Riggs will be first, driving for Tommy Baldwin Racing, that unsponsored Camry. Scott has 5 appearances here and 1 top 10 start. It came last year for Haas Racing.
He backed out of that thing real early, getting into 1 to keep it going up the hill. But boy, he did nail the throttle early in 1 and 2. Laying out late here, not getting back to it too good.
Now, Riggs was 25th in practice.
That's going to be a while before I think they can breathe easy about this qualifying run.
28-14. Seemed like the car just had a little bit more speed in that, in it. Practicing.
Because of our first 35 qualifiers, we actually had 27 of them in the 27-second bracket.
Running a pretty low line down here in 3 and 4. Means the car may be pushing with him.
Trying to make his 7th race of 2009, the second lap slower, so it's going to be a while before Scott Riggs knows if he'll race tomorrow night. Sterling Marlin and Scott Speed next. Sterling Marlin driving for James Finch in the 09, was the 4th quickest Dodge in qualifying, 30th or in practice, 30th overall. See what kind of number Sterling can put on the board.
He has a couple of wins here and a couple of poles. And this team, of course, been on a roll. We know about the win a couple of weeks ago at Talladega with Brad Keselowski. And last week at Richmond, qualified 6th with Mike Bliss.
I believe this is the same car that they ran last week. I believe it's the car Bliss drove last week. I think that's what Sterling told me.
Driving for Junior Johnson, Marlin had 2 poles here in the early 1990s, 2 in a row.
Well, that first lap is decent news for Scott Riggs. Let's see if Sterling can pick it up, because he's not as fast as Scott Riggs. So that would be 1 car that Scott would beat. You got to beat 2.
He's 5/100 slower than Scott Riggs right now.
And at a place like this, to run the speeds that you're running, Darrell, could you imagine being one of these go or go home guys?
Oh, no.
I mean, it's like standing on top of a razor blade.
You know, you just need to go out there and feel confident and comfortable enough that you can lay down a fast lap. But when you've got the burden on your mind about not screwing up and getting a good lap to get in this race, it's just sometimes more than you can handle physically or mentally, because it just distracts you so much.
Second lap is slower for Sterling Marlin, so he goes on the worry list along with Scott Riggs right now. Boy, Scott Speed has had quite a day in both the Nationwide and Sprint Cup practices. He has found the wall, gotten his Darlington stripe. Several, in fact.
Yes. Well, this is, I guess he's going to have a backup car in the Nationwide race. And this is a backup car.
He ended up slow in the second practice in the backup car. In fact, never broke out of the top 40.
Yeah, and the line he's running right here just tells you he's just trying to stay away from that wall. He's real low off of turn 2 over there and running real low here off turn 4. Not the way you're going to make a lot of speed around here.
Well, the green line is Scott Riggs, and he may get to know sooner rather than later if he's in the show, because Scott Speed is the slowest of the 3 go-or-go-homers so far.
Yeah, and unless you know, your crew chief knows you're locked in, you've got to run the second lap as a go-or-go-homer. You've got to go down swinging.
Getting up here a little bit where you make a little better speed in 3 and 4 this time. But he was just way low in 1 and 2, and first time by he was low too.
This will be good news for Scott Riggs, because he will race tomorrow night in that 36 car.
Riggs is in. Marlin and Speed are the bottom 2. Speed was 7th on the go-or-go-home list in practice. Joe Nemechek was 2nd to David Gilliland of the go-or-go-homers, 29th overall in practice. He has a second-row start here and 2 top 10 finishes. If Joe makes the show, it'll be his 499th start in what is now Sprint Cup racing.
I just really hope that Joe can maybe pick up some sponsorship, because this is a good little race team right here. I like what they're doing. They're maximizing what they got. Joe's doing a good job driving. Felipe Lopez and those guys are doing a good job of setting his car up for him.
And Joe wants to race. He wants to be here and run all day and have a full set of resources to do so.
I mean, this team doesn't need a lot of money. It just needs something that will sustain on to the tough times.
Solid. It's going to be a good run.
I believe it's going to be good enough that he's going to race tomorrow night.
Just what he needs. Nemechek is in with a 28.12. That's 30th fastest. He locks himself in, and the bottom 2 remain Sterling Marlin and Scott Speed.
Yeah, this is the 11th race of 2009, and they've only missed 2 shows. They almost made the Daytona 500, and they missed the Texas race. And Joe's trying to better that first lap.
Gets confident, man. Got that first one in. I'm in the race. Let me pick up a little time here and move up on pit road a little bit.
He will. 28th quickest.
7/100ths faster, moves him to 28. Jeremy Mayfield and Dave Blaney next.
All over again. Wrecked. Season premiere Thursday, May.
I'm driving for Penske in the number 12, where he had a pole and he had 4 straight top 5 finishes, 4 in a row, 5 out of 7 for the Kentucky driver. Smallsponsor.com is the organization on the hood of his car.
he's going to have to pick up, I think, from what he ran in practice. He was one of those cars that he wasn't one of the slowest two, but he wasn't up there like where David Gilliland and Joe Nemechek and those other guys were.
Right, Larry. He was 8th of the go-or-go homers in final practice, which puts him right on the bubble.
Loose right there. Cost him a little bit of time.
This lap, I don't think is going to do it. He's going to have to run that second lap.
Oh, he's right in between Marlin and Speed. 28-24. He needs 6/100ths of a second to lock himself in.
Got off of there nice, a little bit better. Let's see if he had trouble here getting into 3 last time. Got it up there just a little. When you see that gray area right near your rear tires, that's treacherous.
It's going to be close. I'm just not sure it's going to be close enough, at least right now.
No. He picks up 2/100ths, but he is not as quick as Sterling Marlin. He will lock Sterling in, and the bottom two become Mayfield and Speed, and they are separated just by 3.5 of a second.
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. Sterling Marlin is in right now to 28-19. Mayfield and Speed are not in at a 22 and a 26.
Yep.
Dave Blaney in the 66, his first lap of practice. He came out of the pits, came around, came past the starter stand, and piled it in at turn 1.
Didn't hit anything, though. It spun her out.
Yep.
But I think that was sticker tires, because I heard a lot of drivers say, you know, you need to be a little careful when you first go out on these tires when they're stickers. That's why most of these guys are going on scuffed tires.
Last year here, driving for Bill Davis Racing, Blaney started 13th and finished 9th.
And Blaney's just one of those guys. No matter who he's driving for or where you're at, he finds a little something qualifying.
He's going to put himself in the show.
Yeah, he's going to be in good shape here, it looks like. Gets off turn 4, actually keeps gaining a little bit of ground.
It's good enough.
Tell him.
That's it, Dave. That's it, buddy. That's it. Shut it down. Shut it down.
That's the voice of...
Great job, man. Great job.
That's Phil Parsons trying to protect his assets there as Blaney is 29th. He will race tomorrow night, and the bottom two remain, Jeremy Mayfield and Scott Speed.
As you notice, those are blank quarter panels. So that man with that panic in his voice, he's the owner of that car.
Right.
He's what I call the rope-out man.
Yeah, OOP, out of pocket.
When something has to be paid, he has to dig in there and whoop it out.
They'll be pretty happy with that qualifying run because he had his hands full both of those practice sessions.
David Gilliland ran for Yates Racing last year and led a lap at Darlington.
It's a pretty fast car now.
Yeah, he was 20th in practice, the fastest go homer.
Since David stepped in the car the second race of the year out at Auto Club Speedway, they have made every single race. And that's no reflection on Mike Wallace at Daytona. They came close to racing their way in, just didn't quite get there. I think David's going to be in pretty good shape. He's gaining ground coming off turn 4. He's going to be in good shape with this 71 car.
And it is the fastest of the go homers at a 28.03.
And again, if you notice, folks, nothing on the quarter panel. That means somebody's footing the bill for this out of their pocket.
That'll be Kevin Buckler and the Racers Group, very successful in road racing and trying to translate that success here.
Somebody's radio button needs to be working about a half a lap ago.
I never quite understand some of these deals, but it'd be like Phil Parsons if that my car. Good enough, bring it in now.
All right, Mayfield and Speed, the bottom two with 3 cars to go.
Let's
Subway, home of the famous, made to your order, $5 footlong. And brought to you by Coors Light, introducing the Coors Light 12-ounce cold activated can. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies. Max Pappas, one of the great road racers, 38th in practice, 9th at the go homers in this Geico number 13 Camry. Finished 18th at Talladega. It's his first time ever at Darlington.
He's made every race that they've attempted so far in 2009, and right now he's looking in great shape In fact, he's working on being the fastest go-or-go-home.
By a wide margin at that.
How about that? 22nd quickest. First of our go-or-go-homers to get into the 27-second bracket. He will not hesitate shutting that 13 car down.
Can you imagine he's raced all over the world and he comes to this place? Wonder what he thinks about this place.
Probably thinks it's pretty neat because he's in and he's 22nd. And the bottom two remain Jeremy Mayfield and Scott Speed, and 2 cars to go. So it's knockout time.
Mike, he never saw the film, did he? The rookie
film that we were talking about. You had to see the practice show, folks. But yeah, that's right. Brad Keselowski, the Talladega winner from Michigan, part of a great racing family up there. And this is a Hendrick car, not a James Finch car, as he drove at Talladega. A GoDaddy.com Chevy. Trying to get in the show.
This car was a little evil in practice.
Right now he's looking in pretty good shape. You see the little green line over there. That's against Jeremy Mayfield.
We can see him flipping that wheel, getting down into 3. Going in there to 190 miles an hour. That ain't always working, I can tell you.
It's going to be
I didn't leave anything there, Lance. I'll give you another.
That's plenty. He is in the show.
You're good.
30th. So Keselowski knocks out.
Thank God. Thank you.
One rookie knocks out another. Keselowski knocks out Scott Speed, whose Red Bull Camry will not race here tomorrow night.
It's only 28 seconds, but it's a heck of a 28 seconds.
You thank everybody, including God, when you finish the lap here, I'm going to tell you.
So now it's Jeremy Mayfield on the hot seat, and Regan Smith, the final driver to qualify in the Furniture Row Chevy, racing out of Denver, Colorado. A team that is. And let's see, in practice he was 3rd among the go-or-go-homers, 23rd overall. So a good clean lap. Should have Smith racing here tomorrow night.
See, I like the way these guys here race. They maximize their resources. They don't just show up every week just so they can say they've been to every race. When they show up, they're usually pretty racy.
Yeah, they've made all 5 races they've attempted in 2009, running about half the schedule. They will not race again until Dover. What was interesting, I talked to Jay Guy. He said, we're going to race Pocono. I said, Pocono? He said, great place to test for Indy.
Looks like he's comfortably going to be in the show.
he used all the real estate, though, but he will be in.
So Regan Smith, 29th, 28 seconds flat. He will race tomorrow night, and he knocks out Jeremy Mayfield.
You're in, but you can go for more.
I don't think any more's there. I think he used her all up off turn 4.
They must, when you're down there in the garage, though, you must not see what we see up here.
Well, you wouldn't see this, I think, unless you're in the lounge. The only thing they can see is when the lap is completed by the score monitor.
And since our coverage is TiVoed or time delayed, they wouldn't be seeing this. They'd be seeing, probably about 20 minutes ago up there in the lounge right now. You'd be seeing Bobby Labonte right now, watching this at home as we recorded here with TiVo qualifying, so you get to see everybody run. Here's your front row. It's been 123 starts. 125 since Matt Kenseth last won a pole position. How about Matt Yoakum to talk to Matt Kenseth?
And Mike, he's even chasing an even bigger stat, trying to score only the 2nd time in his career, winning from the pole. That would be big here for you to score your first Darlington win and do it from the front row.
Yeah, considering we've only had 3 poles, so yeah, that would be great. But yeah, these guys did really good today. Drew and Chip and all these guys we've had really down a couple months, and it doesn't seem like we've been able to get our cars to run the way I'd like them to. And this car today has had really good speed in it all day. They made really good changes throughout practice. We found some things the car didn't like. We found some things it did like. And it's had a lot of speed. I didn't think we'd ever be on the pole, but I felt good about how our car was driving for tomorrow.
What's this place mean for you as a driver? The history behind it. You see David Pearson walk through the garage, Cale Yarborough. So much history, so much special moments have taken place here.
It is. It's awesome just to be able to still come here and race. So I'm glad we at least race here once a year. It was. I thought it was cool today how they had the walls painted. That reminded me of kind of the old days when you'd see some of the older races on TV. So that was pretty neat. And talking about poles, I think I only have like 42 more to go, and we'll be able to catch Newman, something like that. So we're gaining on him.
He's got a lot of things on his agenda, and it starts right here in Darlington.
So you did not just see that interview with Matt Kenseth because you're watching Sterling Marlin qualify right now?
In real time.
Okay.
Actually, it's Scott Riggs right at the moment. It's what they're seeing at home as we TiVo this show. There's got to be a Star Trek episode about this. We'll get back to you.
If we get going here, we can go back and watch the end of the show.
I'll bet we can.
Yeah.
All right. Matt Kenseth is the 7th driver to win a pole position in 2009. Only his 4th career pole. And here's a look at the starting lineup. Jeff Gordon will start alongside Kenseth. Newman Hornish, rookie Logano with Burke, Kane, Busch, Edwards, and Ambrose.
Well, hadn't been a pole winner hadn't won from the pole here in 19 races. So, and Jeff Gordon starting up front here, that's maybe bad news for the other boys.
I tell you what, I'd pay close attention to row 6 and row 7, especially Biffle, Mark Martin, and Kyle Busch, who won this race a year ago.
How about all 5 Roush cars in the top 20? That's a nice turnaround from the short tracks.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There you
Max
see Max Pappas, the fastest of the go-homers.
That's a heck of a lap for him.
That's a nice. That's a pleasant surprise.
22nd.
And Jimmy Johnson going to a backup car, did not complete his qualifying lap. Sterling Marlin gets that final spot. Jeremy Mayfield and Scott Speed are the 2 drivers who are disappointed today and will not race tomorrow. More from Darlington after this.